Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's Tuesday, July 9th, 2019. My name is Roy DeBerry. We're in the offices of North Mississippi Rural Legal Services. With us, Jenny Kilgore, April Grayson, Maureen Cuderini. Also with us, Justin Gary, Ryan Parrish, Caleb Hall, Dilla McKill, Peyton Tackett, Dayton Chagall, Alexis Miller, Mary Moore, and Sierra Tucker. We're speaking with Ms. Gloria Tucker, who is a paralegal, or has been a paralegal for years with North Mississippi Rural Legal Services based in Batesville. Ms. Tucker, we're just pleased to have you. And so I want to start by just sort of asking you, just generally who you are, place of birth, where you grew up, that sort of thing there in Panola County.
I was born and raised in Batesville, Mississippi.
And tell us a little bit about what that early
childhood
life was like.
Well, I grew up on a farm out in the country, tomboyish. First thing I learned how to drive was a tractor. And my family was always involved in the community. We was involved in our churches and our communities. So anything that went on in our communities, we were involved in it, and making a difference. And so it was, my parents did it, therefore it was instilled in me to do it. And they was on different boards for Panola County Voters League, the Freedom Democratic Party, NAACP, everything that in the civil rights movement, we were there. My mother went to jail in Jackson, slept on the floor for two weeks. My father was one of the main plaintiffs in the suit that got the voting rights bill passed in Panola County, when he sued our circuit clerk, Ike Shanker, and got the voting rights bill passed before the voting rights bill got passed in the United States. So we were voting before President Johnson signed the Bill of Rights to vote.
Tell us a little bit about some of your siblings. I know you mentioned your mother and father. So your mother and father, what's their names? And you mentioned you driving a tractor, so I assume you lived on the farm. So just tell us about the siblings and who they were and your parents.
My parents were Mr. and Mrs. Earl and Eva Tucker, and we lived out in the country on a farm. We had our own land, and in the community where we lived, we were probably it was like 3 black families in that community, and we were one of those families. Is the boys, our family, and everybody else was white. But our neighbors treated us good, and we treated them good. They respected us, and we respected them. My siblings are, I'm the oldest child of my parents. It was 8 of us that grew up in the household together. We always had one brother. His name was Sylvester. He never really lived with us. Earl, Melvin, Alan, Dorothy, Alice, Benny, and Keith were my siblings. Keith died at an early age. He died at 37. He was the first one to pass away in our family. That broke the link. My parents lived to get. My dad was 99 when he passed, and my mom was going on 94 when she passed. So we had longevity in our family. And even up until they died, they were involved in the community, NAACP members. My dad served as president of NAACP, as I do now. I'm the president of NAACP of Panola County branch since I've been back. It's just it's like a legacy being passed down. We don't have to apply for it; it just falls on us. So that's just who we are. That's our legacy. My great-grandfather served in the Civil War. My grandfather registered for the World War I, and my dad was in World War II. I had one sibling that went into the military. That's Melvin Tucker. So we've been serving and trying to make a difference everywhere we go.
Thanks for your service.
Mm-hmm.
What about the education in your family in terms of high school, where you went to school, and whether or not you and your sibling went on to college? Tell us a little bit about that.
I graduated. I went to Sapanola Training School. I started out, and we had a school in our own community where I was born and raised, called it's called Chapeltown Community. My school was called Caldwell Elementary School. At fourth grade, our school was moved from our community to to Batesville, Bayford High School, Bayford Elementary School, and that was uptown. Like we live in Cortland, but our town has always been Batesville. So when we tell people where we live, they ask where you live. We say Batesville, but really we live in Cortland, which is in the country. And our school was Bayford, started out at Bayford Elementary, Bayford Junior High, Bayford High School. And then our name got changed to Sapanola Training School. I was one of the last graduates to graduate from Sapanola Training School because our name.
Was that an all-black school?
It's an all-black school. And then it called us, and named it Patton Lane School. All of us, all the siblings graduated high school. All of us went to college somewhere. We got some siblings in my family that got the doctor's degree, master's. Some people have different kinds of training as well as a college degree.
So were you exposed to this whole desegregation movement, or some of your siblings were? If so, what was that experience like?
My baby sister was like every household. Her name was Alice Tucker Pretlow. Now that she's married to a Pretlow, she was the first one to integrate to school. She was in the fourth grade. That's when they started taking kids in the fourth grade. I'm not even sure what year that was. Maybe that was 65, 66, or 65. I graduated 65, so it had to be the year after I graduated. I think the school was integrated. She's the one that got the doctorate degree. She got her undergraduate was special education. Then she went on to get her degree in administration. She became a assistant principal. And then she became director of special ed, and she went back and got her doctorate degree in special ed.
Even though she's your younger sister, did she talk to you at all about what the actual experience was like going to desegregate a school that had been segregated for all those years?
Yeah.
One of the things we talked to another person this morning, we talked about integration being perceived to be a good thing, but he made the point that perhaps integration is not always a good thing, because sometimes the people that's used to their own school get separated from that. They've seen black principals before, and they no longer see black principals. Whether they've seen black administrators before, they no longer see. So how did your sister, if you talked to her, how did she see that just going to a school? Was it dramatic for her? Was it traumatic? Or was it a good experience?
Well, it was traumatic and a good experience because her bus driver was our neighbor. So he made sure she sit right behind him, so he always protected her. And so she didn't really have the traumas that most students have when they got on the integrated bus, because of how he took care of her. But most of the kids that went to school at the time that she went, they were spit on, and a lot of things happened to them and jumped on. And after she went, then they started taking in 8th graders. My other sister was an 8th grader. Her name was Gloria Tucker Roberts. She was the first one to play, only girl, only black, to play on the basketball team at Sapanola. And you had to be good to be on the softball team, but she had to do a lot of fighting because there was a lot of things going on the bus where kids were picking on them and throwing spitball at them, doing things to them. And after that, my brother, Alan, went to Sapanola, and he was the first one to graduate in the integrated school. He graduated in 1969. So they got together this year, the whites and the blacks. Even though they went to a white school, they still have separate proms, separate class reunions. So this year they had they had a integrated class reunion. They did that for like about the last 3 years. They've done something else. It's like 6 of them that they come together, whites and blacks come together. Kellogg gave them some kind of grant money to come together, and I think they did a study of that class, and to see. I don't know what they were looking for, but they did a study of that class, and they paid for all of them to come back together. And my brother was included in that class. Cheryl Johnson, Micah Johnson, and some more people. I don't know who all.
Do you recall any comments that they made after the reunion in terms of what they thought of it, whether or not it was successful or not?
Yeah, I thought so. I think they thought it was successful. They thought that they all respected each other, and they respect what each other were doing with their lives. And they had a good time. The Friday night they were at the black family's house, and that Saturday they went to the white person's house, and had their fellowship, whatever they did, their reunion party. They had 2 nights of it, so they did it in the black community, then did it in the white community, and that was good, And there was no kind of malice. They all respected, talked to each other, and had fun.
You had mentioned the fact that you're on land and you live in a community that was predominantly white. Was that the exception rather than the rule, that you, not that you own land, but the fact that you live in sort of a quote unquote integrated neighborhood at the time? So how much acreage do y'all own out in Panola County?
We had 120 some acres. So most everybody in my neighborhood had, the whites own a lot of land, and we own quite a bit of land. And the Boers, which lived around the road from us, they were black, they owned land. So it was, the Boer land has been passed down from generation to generation. And that, I think they had like 300 acres.
Was that land enough to sustain the family? The family made their living off the land, or did you
Yes.
do other things?
I don't know how to buy groceries now because I didn't have to go to the grocery store. We ate off our land. So we only had to go to the grocery store to buy sugar and flour. Everything else we raised.
When you were growing up, you mentioned the fact that there were other whites living in the area. Did y'all play with each other? Was there any social interaction between you and say, the white neighbors' kids? I'm not talking about in school now. We know schools were segregated, but just among the farm that you exchange, like go to one place, they come to your place. Was there any of that?
Well,
what was it like if they were?
The Ridgeways, when we get through that, when we finish our crops, we would go and work on their crops and help them do their crops. The rest of us, we didn't play together. But if we were in trouble, like when our house burned in 1958, our neighbors were the first one that came to our rescue. And they were white. And so we stayed in school because they made sure that we had what we needed to keep going.
Did you ever ask your parents why you didn't play together as a child?
God, we had to. No, but we didn't know how to play with each other because, like when I grew up, everybody worked. We had to be in the field 4 days in the morning, picking cotton, chopping cotton. So it wasn't a whole lot of playing. That's when you see most of us now, we're responsible because we always had to work. We don't know anything about work. Even when we get where we think we're disabled, our minds are programmed still to work. So it wasn't like we had something against each other. Even now we talk to each other. Our neighbors like Johnny Nelson, his sister's married to John Howell, who owned a newspaper in Panola County. She grew up right around the road from us. And Johnny and I, when we get together, we just talk. We just talk like we hadn't seen each other. We just be catching up. His mother, they knew us by name, all the children by name. And when Mr. Lodge would ask about us, he asked, "Where's Alice? Where's Alan, Dorothy?" He just knew us. So even though we didn't go and play with each other, we just knew about the family. We knew their children's name. But it wasn't like we was just running buddies. I really don't have running buddies now.
Well, then, so you were saying you sort of live in an idyllic environment. So was there ever a period when you thought that there's racism exists, that the people are separate because of race? Did that ever occur to you, or you just thought that's just the way it was?
We knew that some people were, some husbands might have been racist, but then the wife wasn't, so she made up for that shortcoming. So if the husband had a mean streak or whatever, where they really didn't accept us, then the wives always came across and made us feel welcome. So I never did see in my growing up what people were really mean to us, in my neighborhood.
Before we go on to deal with your relationship with legal services, and that's going to be the focus of the last part of the interview, but what person or persons, as you were growing up, it could be grandparents, it could be parents, it could be neighbor, it could be teacher, what person or person had the most influence on your early development?
Ask that again.
What person or persons had the most influence on your early development? Like a mentor, somebody who, you looked up to, somebody that you tried to emulate, somebody that meant the world to you and you wanted to be like them in your early life.
The only ones I saw was my mother and my father that I wanted to be like.
And what's the characteristic of your mother and father that had that impact?
They were just good people. They always trying to help someone. They were always trying to make sure things was better, not just for us, for other people. Push the other kids and going to getting their education, making their lives better. They always were concerned about someone other than just ourselves. So I just wanted to be like them.
There was a Robert Miles that I knew way back in the day that was from Panola County. Did you know him, and what was your relationship with him if you knew him?
His wife, Emma Miles, was my dad's first cousin. So that family, all of them came from down the Delta together, from down Warren County and Yazoo County. And the Miles, the Tuckers, the Dollies, all of them moved up here together. So Robert Miles was just like my dad's brother. And my dad had a brother named Frank Tucker. And so Robert Miles, Frank Tucker, the Futurells, all they were like, everybody was real close kin and real close related, whether they were blood or not. They just had that kind of relationship. When they bought equipment for the farm, do the farming on the land, they bought equipment together, the tractors and things. So
the civil rights activity, I know Mr. Miles was involved. I would assume the others were involved in some of you mentioned voting rights activity and that sort of thing during the 60s, late 50s. Were your father and mother involved in the civil rights movement along with Mr. Miles and others?
Yes.
Could you sort of explain why they got involved?
Well,
a lot of people didn't get involved.
Well, my parents had us, and they wanted things to be better for their children. They didn't want us to have to suffer like they suffered. So if any way they could make things better for their children and their neighborhood, their communities, they were ready to get out there and do it, whatever it took to make things better for everybody, not just us. They just loved their church. Whatever in that day and time, people love their communities, and they loved their church, and they had a heart for all people. And when they saw the things that people were being mistreated, they weren't gonna just stand idly by. And because we weren't beholden to anyone, we always had our own land, so we didn't have to work for nobody else unless we wanted to.
Do you think that accounts for some differences? For example, I've known people from the Delta that are sharecroppers, and for some reason were not so inclined to be involved. So you think land ownership is one of the major reasons for your participation or their participation?
Yes.
In the movement.
I think that
it
gave them a sense of freedom of having their own, and they could make it they weren't dependent on anyone else to make it. They depended on themselves and the Lord for their life and their families.
What about Leonard Morris? I know he's deceased now, right?
Yes.
Did you have any involvement with Leonard? And I know he worked in housing. Did you have any involvement with doing anything with Leonard?
Yes. Well, he was just a part of the community. He probably wrote up more grants than anybody in Batesville. He was probably instrumental in Batesville growing. The mayor and Leonard worked together. So Leonard was good at writing grants and putting things together. And so Batesville, doing under his leadership and the Mayor Bakers, leadership, Batesville grew into a city. It used to be a town. It grew into a city because of his educational background and just the love for the city. I say it like that.
He later became a
House of Representative. Yes.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit. One of the times when reason why I got interested in doing a study on Batesville was that there's a guy named Cliff Finch that used to be the district attorney. Did you know him before he became the governor?
Yes, I did.
Say a little something about Cliff Finch and what he did or didn't do in Batesville, and later did not do as governor.
Well, Cliff Finch he's just different.
Tell us how different.
Well, he was a common man.
Okay.
And he didn't really put on airs or anything and try to be something that he wasn't. And I can't say that. I mean, his campaign slogan come from a lunch bucket. I mean, you can go from there. So the common man goes to work with a lunch bucket, lunch bag or something. So he was always for the labor, for the common man. Through Cliff Finch, the Job Corps, we have the first Job Corps that was built from the ground up. All the other Job Corps in the country were started out on something that was already built.
Would you explain for the future generation that's going to be watching this, the Job Corps? What's the Job Corps?
Job Corps is a school you go to and get a skill. They teach you skills. If you don't go to college, then you go to Job Corps. They teach you a skill: brick mason, carpentry. Now they probably got off into technology, but it's an alternative school rather than going to a university. But you can go there and get a skill and go out and make it in the world.
Okay. Let's jump now to legal services. You've been a paralegal for a number of years. Who inspired you, and how did you first get engaged and involved with North Mississippi Rural Legal Services, and in what capacity, and who did you work for, and just name some people that you were involved with in those early days?
And legal services, I was on the board. I had come back to Mississippi from Virginia, and I had my first child in 1968. And like my parents, I tell you, we was involved in everything that was going on in the community. So legal services had a board. So I became a member on that board. And when legal service first started out, they had people from the community. And they wasn't necessarily educated people. They were people that were interested in the community. So it was a strong connection with legal services in the community. And so I was on that board, and so this position came up as a community specialist. And I asked if I could apply for it. And they said, yeah, you can apply. But I had to resign my position on the board. And I applied for it, and I got the job as a community specialist. Community specialist is someone that's a liaison between legal services and the community. So that was my first position as working in legal services, was to be, first I was on the board, and then I became a community specialist, which is a liaison between the community and legal services.
So you think it's a good idea then the mix of lawyers and community people as well as paralegal is what gave the legal services its strength?
Yeah, because people trust the community person because you're from that community. They always had community specialists from each community, which connected the community to legal services. And they were working in legal services, and then they worked for the community because we had to go to all the community meetings, and we were involved, and so we had to go and listen to what the people say, and then we bring it back to legal services, and then legal services act upon what the community issues and concerns were, and that's how a lot of cases got filed in legal services. We had some great cases.
State some of them.
We had one case we had was Tate County. We legal service in Panola County worked Panola County, Tate County, DeSoto County, and maybe Tunica, I'm not sure, and Tallahatchie County. I think we sort of worked those counties. But anyway, Robert Kelly was one of the attorneys, Bill Joyner, Mose Kincaid. They were attorneys before I got hired. And so there was a discrimination case with the schools where the white school tried to buy some school property for a private school in Tate County. They did buy it, but Kelly then filed a suit against the Tallahatchie School Board and got that decision reversed, where they couldn't buy that land and they couldn't build that school. So Tate County Senatobia doesn't have a private school now because of that suit that was filed through Legal Services.
We talked about private schools earlier, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Are there any private academies in Panola County?
Yes, it is, called West Side.
And when did that start, do you recall? If you don't recall, basically, what's the size of it and how many, if you look at a place like Panola County, is a significant number of white students are there, or do they just have, this is a mixed bag now? Have both black and white students there, but initially I would assume it was all white.
It was all white, started out being all white, and it was in the early 70s. When the schools integrated, the whites got together and built a private school. And at that time, only whites were going. And later on, blacks were allowed to come so they could get some federal money.
And that would be the only reason?
That's the only reason they really was there. But
yeah. Do you know some of the white families that put up the initial money for the private schools?
Probably him and half of them. The Dunlaps, just prominent families that had plenty of money and had businesses there.
And in your judgment, now as you look back on that, what was the primary motivation for having private academies in Panola County? In your judgment, because you've been a community person, you've been involved with the NAACP, so what's your assessment of why? Because they don't have them in all counties, so why?
They didn't want them to go to the integrated school. And they definitely was not going to go down on Penn Lane where the black school was. So we had just built a brand new school in the black community. And they closed that school down, built West Side, and everybody had to go to South Panola.
We talked about Cliff Finch as being the district attorney. You talked about the fact that being the people's governor. What's your assessment when he became governor?
Well, he still was Cliff Finch. But, yeah, I don't know if he did a whole lot to make a difference, but he was there. Ronnie Musgrove from Batesville, too, he was a governor. So we've had two with governors from Batesville.
Is there something in the water? I think for the size of a small town, it's rare to produce two governors.
It is. But Panola County is really a Democratic, it's a Democratic county. And whenever there's an election, most people that come out to vote are Democrats. And that's black and white.
As a paralegal, what do you consider to be the most important cases? I know you've kind of alluded to some of them, and the most important things you worked on for North Mississippi Oral History Services based in Batesville?
Well, my job was, as I progressed up the ladder, I became a social worker and a paralegal. And in that job, I was the income maintenance specialist. I was taught to be an income maintenance specialist. I mean, I put money in people's houses, be it ADC, which is DHS now, Department of Human Services. And back then it was called ADC, where people were getting child support and all this kind of, not necessarily child support, they were getting a government check to help take care of their children, food stamps, all that came through the ADC office. And I helped people that were being denied to get food stamps or get money for their children. I would go and defend them against that institution to get them back on or get them on benefits. We also, in the income maintenance line, we dealt with disability through Social Security. And SSI came on supplement security income. Was put in place. People that didn't work, hadn't paid Social Security in, they would be able to draw. And like a lot of children were born with disabilities, and they were able to draw money and put money in the household to help take care of their disabilities. A lot of people were born with special needs children were born, and people that had slow learning disabilities were able to get help when they got into school. They put them in special ed, but through the system, SSI, they were able to get money to help take care of them, and also a Medicaid card where they could have their needs taken care of.
As you look back on this, as you work as social work, but also as paralegal, and you said that there were services that people would deserve, but there was money coming from taxpayers' money. Obviously, federal government sort of putting money back in the state of Mississippi. What do you think? Why was it difficult in your judgment as you worked through that for local authorities, the power to be, so to speak, to try to keep these resources from getting to their own people? Was it something about the nature of bitterness and racism? I mean, what do you think accounts for saying we don't want this for our people?
Well, that
as you work through that.
That, and it was just a way of keeping people down.
Right.
And I've seen cases I've had where people had never had their own monies. I've seen lives change right in my presence. Well, I had one lady come in, and she was in an abusive situation. She had no money of her own, and I helped her get her first check, and her whole life changed. She just became a whole different person, and not just her. It was just a lot of people I met doing through my job, through working with legal services, that benefited through legal services, and how their life changed because legal services was there. You know, had it not been legal services, these people would have went through life living in. We're still in poverty, but would have been worse than what it is now.
So what did you say to those people who are conservative, my conservative friends, who would argue those are just hands out, they don't really enable people, that the thing you should do is teach a person not just to give them a fish, but teach them how to fish, and that this is doing just the opposite? Well, what kind of answer would you give those people? And I'm sure you encountered them.
Well, people I had, they were not lazy people. They already knew how to work. They already knew how to fish, but they needed more than fish. They needed some meat too. So they just you need money to buy other things. You got toiletries, you got a household, you got a light bill, and you the head of your household, and you disabled. You can't go to work. You got arthritis. You got had a stroke. You got a house full of children that you can't take care of by yourself. So you need some assistance. Nobody's looking for a handout. Everybody's looking for a hand up. And that's what the government should be about, a hand up. Instead of judging people, you need to walk in their shoes for a minute and see how you feel. You know. Instead of taking money from poor people, you ought to be trying to make things better for poor people. You know, not keep just continue to take until now it's where everything's going to the rich folks. And the poor folks not getting anything. You know, I know the Bible said the poor are going to be with us always, but we can also help them out too, since they're going to be with us always. And not like they look for you to take care of them. But some people fall in situations that's beyond their circumstances, where they need the government to step in and help them up out of the situation. And most people don't want to stay on no kind of government assistance. They want to do better by themselves, with themselves, you know. It's not like they think you owe them something. You know, you may have a few people that's this last generation coming in, but our generation, we don't know nothing. Like I said earlier, we don't know nothing but work, because we started out working as babies. We worked our way up. That's when we were sick before our time, because we never had a break. We never had a vacation. We just had to work. We worked on the plantation. We were slave owners, you know. So we've given our life to society. So why not help us better our lives and do better for ourselves and our communities?
What do you thank you? What do you consider the most positive ways North Mississippi Rural Legal Services has impacted the community? You know, you talked about that partnership between the community and the lawyers, so to speak. So in your judgment, and I know you've talked about a lot of that already, but if you just want to summarize it, what comes to mind as positive impact that North Mississippi has had on that community in Batesville?
Well, in Batesville, we had a great impact. Like I told you, the case in Tate County with the school, we had to sue our Panola County Sheriff Department. I helped work that case. And let me say this before I go there. Legal Services had plenty of attorneys, but they never were hung up on their degrees. We were a team, and they taught us how to work with them, help build a case. So that's how we got so much done. And in all the counties, not just in Panola County, but all the counties that Legal Services established. But I know in Panola County that we worked together as a team. All the lawyers came to the case so to help put those cases together, and they taught us how to do different things, how to write up, get affidavits from the clients, and go out and find the clients, but without all the lawyers being there at one time. All of us learned how to put a case together. They taught us how to do it, and we didn't have a law degree. We just had each other, so we taught each other how to do this. We even had a precept program. The last precept program they had, we were the students that was in that precept program. And we had the last precept program in Mississippi, came through Legal Services. Now you can't, it's a lot of white lawyers, older white lawyers that got a law degree by going through a precept program. And when we got it, anything we start doing, they'll cut it out. So we had the last class that was in the precept program. But getting back to where you were about the important cases, Panola County Jail was sued because we had a lot of inmates coming into the jail that was being jailed. They had what you call a bullpen. In that bullpen, they had like a coffee pot back there with electrical wiring. And they would let their lot stay back there. And so when the inmates would come into the jail, they wasn't taking their belongings off of them. You know how like when you come in, you're supposed to take your things off of you and lock it up. But they wouldn't take them out. They let them take it off back in the bullpen. So people were abused when they got in the jail and put back in the bullpen. They were electrocuted and had to give up their goods back there to those people that was abusing them. They were not allowed to take showers. You got all these people that on top of each other that not even able to take a shower. They didn't get a nutritional meal. They were not able to go out and exercise. So that's inhumane. Someone told me that this is not a hotel. I said, why not? You're sleeping over. And so we sued our county jail. Forrest Tuller was our sheriff at the time. Whether he did or not, he allowed it to happen on his watch. He responsible. So we sued our sheriff in Panola County, and we won that case. Because there was a lot of guys that were abused in jail in Panola County. And I'm not sure what's going on now, but the judge did put me over the sheriff to make him do right.
So then you would say that this whole process has been an empowerment for the community.
Oh, yes.
You don't have to have, as you mentioned, the fact you didn't go to law school, but you've done cases related to the law. So is that a classical case where when people are given the opportunity, they can take care of themselves and do for themselves?
That's right. So if people take time out to teach you, all of us got skills, whether you go to law school or not. Teach somebody what you learned while you was in law school. Pass the torch. That's what we're not doing now. We're not mentoring anyone. We're not passing these skills on. Most of it, we're taking them in the grave with us. And we're not teaching people to do it. Like I just got back from Flint, Michigan for 27 years. I come back, Mr. Harris' health failed, so he had to step down as NAACP president. There was nobody in the group. This group been organized for 45 years to step up because nobody had been trained or mentored to step up, to take that position. That's what we need to do. We need to mentor people and teach them to do what you do. We need to mimic ourselves, and have other people to do what we do.
This escaped me earlier, but you had mentioned you had been in Virginia and you came back. So what did you do in Virginia while you were in Virginia?
Well, I got my first job there. I rode the train to Virginia 2 days for my birthday, 1966. My birthday's in April. I rode the train. The train derailed on the way to Virginia. And when I got there, we had to get off the train and catch a bus on into Virginia. So that I got there on a Tuesday night, I think. And the next morning I got up, I went to the employment office, got hired, and I had to catch a cab to take me to the job from the employment office. And the cab took me out to the employment office. And he said, "Lady, you so determined, I'm gonna pick you up in the morning and take you to your job." See, we're not lazy. We work. You know, we don't think nobody owes us nothing. We think we owe it to ourselves. We teach I taught my children, don't nobody owe you nothing. So I went to work as soon as I got there. And my husband's in the military. He's making $52 every 2 weeks. So the military wasn't paying any money. So I helped take care of us. But that's what I did. I worked at General Electric. That woman used to make TVs and I worked on the solder. I was a solder part technician. That was 500 degrees. But then I worked at a solder. The first job I had, I worked at a solder, a glitter company. With the glitter y'all use for Christmas. I had to pack those little glitter bottles, and that's what they sell in the stores. And I used to pack those. And then after that, I worked there for about a month, and I went to General Electric, which was a good job. And I didn't know people drank so much coffee till I got there, because I hadn't been exposed to anything. You know, I've been out in the country, right? Even though I went to Mississippi Valley State, and I stayed there. But my life experiences is when I left Batesville and met other people and see how the other half lived. But even in Virginia, you think Mississippi is a prejudiced state? Virginia is a more prejudiced state. They had Ku Klux Klan like carved in trees and light poles and things. Make sure that you knew that the Ku Klux Klan was well and established in that area out there. So but anyway, that was my first job, working at General Electric.
Thank you. I just wanted to let that slip. Anybody got any questions before I proceed with the last question?
Did you want to ask about
Jenny?
Did you want to ask about Mildred Quarles?
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Have you shared with us, kind of what you knew of Mildred Quarles during her time at NMRLS? Did you have any times that you worked with her or dealt with her on issues in the community?
Well, Mildred Quarles was a board member, and she was from Oxford, so I didn't really know her as a person because she was not from my community, not my county. But she was a strong voice on the board in legal services, and that's how she became well known, because she had a lot of self-confidence, and she would speak up and speak out as a representative from her community. You know, so she made sure that they got the benefits that legal service had to offer here in Oxford, Lafayette County.
What would you like to share? Again, we've said we're doing this oral history, and we're trying to capture the stories of more than 50 years of lawyers and paralegals and community people and non-community people, so the future generation can see what impact and what a difference people like you made in your community. So what final words would you like to share with us about your experience and what you want to, as you say, pass on? What kind of gems would you like to pass on to this next generation?
Don't work for a paycheck. Legal services and the civil rights movement, none of that is about a paycheck. It's about making a difference. And if you're a lawyer, don't be afraid to teach your skills to other people that you work with. Because if you got a team, you can get more accomplished, and you won't feel like you bogged down with everything having to do it on your own. Teach your people how to do what you do. You can get more accomplished.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker.
I have one other thing.
Go ahead, Jim.
Appreciate your comments, Gloria. One thing I wanted to ask a clarification question on. You mentioned something along the lines that as community workers, that you, the community trusted the early workers, and that you were the connection with the community.
Mm-hmm.
For other people who might be studying why this was needed at that time, is there anything you could do to clarify what was the barrier that you were able to get over that would help the community connect with legal services? Why wouldn't they trust coming to the program?
Well, legal services is have people that coming into a neighborhood, coming into a community. People don't know you, so in order for them to trust you, they didn't know that somebody else is working with you, they're connected to you. So that's when you have a liaison from the community. Even the board members were from the communities. So, because the people they could trust their board members. If their board member said, "You can trust this person here to work your case up for you," they people to trust. They could relax. So my connection to the community gave people trust. Mm-hmm. Everybody in my community trusted me, and that's when I was able to do a lot of things. And then when I said it, some people go and talk to a lawyer and then come ask me, "Is it right?" I'm not a lawyer, but the point is, it wasn't that the lawyers weren't good. It's just that you had to build trust, and it's important that your client trusts you. It's important that the lawyer trusts the client, because you can't represent someone you don't believe in. And if you don't believe in your client, you shouldn't take their case. I won 97% of my cases because I believed in them. When I fought for my client, I gave them everything I had. So every case I took in, I won 97% of them. And some of them that should have been, I could have won the rest of them if it had gone to the next level into court. I couldn't go to court. But every case that went to court, we got a favorable decision for it.